All right. Zach Turdowski, thanks for coming in today. The training was awesome, dude. Thanks for helping everybody. We are, well, first of all, we want to learn a little bit about your last 3 years at Family First Life and what you've done. And we've been interviewing a lot of people actually every few days, trying to find what the common denominators of top producers and managers are. So, anyways, thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me. It's a incredible atmosphere out here, and I'm looking forward to working with you a bunch.
And you're moving to Vegas.
Moving to Vegas, at least part time, but I am. Yep.
Cool. What's making you move?
Weather and getting around you guys winning out here too.
Nice, man. So tell us a little bit about how you got into insurance.
Sure. So I've been here with Family First Life for just a little bit longer than 3 years now. I got into insurance right after I got out of college. My whole life plan really was to go to medical school or somewhere in that same, kind of umbrella of careers because that's what my whole family does. My dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse practitioner, and my wife.
What kind of doctor?
My dad's a family practice doctor.
Nice.
And my mom works with him, so they do own their own practice. So I think that was part of the reason that I was understood owning a business. And if I didn't do it there, I wanted to do it somewhere else and not necessarily work for somebody. But yeah, like my wife's in medical school too, and that's kind of all I really ever knew. And then when it came time to actually go
Were
down
they
that
pissed
route,
at you for getting into sales?
I didn't tell them right away. So I was in South Carolina with my then girlfriend, now wife, and she moved there to teach at a like underprivileged high school, basically some program she did through college. And I moved down there with her, and the goal was I was gonna take a year off and go back into school. And then I started working here, and I told my parents I was just working a sales job. I had a medical sales job lined up, and I decided not to do that one and do this instead. But I didn't tell them what I was doing at first because I knew it might be looked at weird just because of kind of how my family's background is. And they're not judgmental people, but I just knew they might look at it weird and think I was crazy. So I didn't tell them until I was starting to crush it. And then I told them what I was doing and explained it to them. And
How much were you crushing it by the time you told them?
not even crazy. Like my first month, I wrote $11,000. My second month, I wrote 15 or issued 15.
No
and
sales experience.
zero. No. But I was
And what'd you get paid? Right in 11,000.
probably probably 8 grand.
And that's
Something like that.
huge.
Yeah, huge. But it still wasn't like where I wanted to be just because at the time I think Sean always talked about you need to get to at least 15 to 20 grand in your first 90 days, right? Consistently. So once I started writing 20 grand a month, then I kind of told them what I was doing and how it worked and everything. And I talked to my dad about it, and he was like, "Oh, you're still helping people, which is cool. You own your own business, which is cool, and you're making money, which is great." Because it took, and he was very accepting about it, and was like, "If you're going into medicine for the money, you don't want to do it because it's a lot of really hard work." Same like if you want to do insurance, you couldn't only do it for the money. You have to like helping people and like mentoring people, and like helping clients. Otherwise, it would be impossible to do this only for the money if you hated people, right? So.
That's huge.
Yeah, he was really accepting of it when I told him what I was doing. They probably would have been okay with it because they've always been really supportive.
Yeah. And so how long ago was that? 3 years?
3 years, yep.
So your first few months you did 20. How hard was it for you to get those numbers in the beginning?
It was hard, honestly, because early on I had no sales experience and I wasn't particularly good with people. So I always understood you had to work hard. I was never confused about that, right? I've watched my dad work hard since I was a kid. He's a doctor. He made good money, but he left at 5 in the morning, got home at 7 at night. Like he worked really hard. So I think I always knew that in order to make money, you had to have a certain type of work ethic. And so from the beginning with working with FFL, at that time it was run 20 appointments a week. Now it's kind of morphed into 30, 40, right? But at that time it was like you have to run 20 appointments a week to be full time. So I always did that. I just had to learn how to actually sell and actually help clients out and stop overcomplicating everything because that's what my brain naturally does is try to make everything more complicated, I think. And once I simplified it and just realized I just had to run enough appointments, be very upfront with clients. Something that helped me a lot was listen to Sean talk about who our clients are, that they're the 1% that fill out forms, that they look for us to lead them because otherwise they would have gotten insurance on the way home when they passed, Allstate or whatever, right? So if you understand our clients to be assertive with them and that they're reaching out for help and they're a vulnerable group, so you have to be presumptive and assumptive with them. Once I started understanding and internalizing that, I understood how to approach our clients and how to just keep it very simple and just be matter of fact with them.
Were you shy at first?
Very, yeah. I didn't
how I
like going
was.
to homes.
That's
I
how
think
I was.
I drove past the first home like 4 times. I saw it and I was like, there's the number. I kept driving back and forth because I didn't want to go in.
Dude, I remember I would always be intimidated if it was a really nice house. Did you ever have
Mhm.
that happen?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So like I'd get there, and if it was really nice, I go, oh, for some weird reason, I thought maybe they knew more about insurance than me, you know. And then someone said on a training, they're like, dude, you have an insurance license. I guarantee you know more than someone that doesn't.
Yeah.
Um, but it's funny. It's funny to think back. Do you think you went through enough? Um, there was enough struggle there for you to for somebody to quit, like they wouldn't have made it. Like you had to push past a certain point.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember my first couple months were rough. Like I was writing 11 grand, but writing like 25 appointments a week, which is pretty bad, really. I mean, it is. If you're
It's a
writing
lot
that
of
many,
rejection.
it's a lot of rejection. Yeah. So I started thinking maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should just do what I was always, always said I was going to do, or the route that I'd kind of planned out for my life. But I'm really stubborn. And when I wrote down like that I was going to make this work and figure out how to do family first life, how to make it happen here, I just had to do it. I had to prove it to myself or whoever. But once I decided I was going to do it, I was like, no, I have to figure this out.
And then did it get easier?
hmm Yeah, I think Andrew. I think I've always seen people like you, like at the time, like you and Sean and Paul and all these people that were selling a lot. And I've never saw someone else and been like, I can never do what that person's doing.
I like that.
I've always been like, if they can figure it out, like I'm not an idiot. I can figure it out too. So I've never thought anyone was like better than me. Maybe that's just I don't know. Maybe I have some kind of ego, but I was like, if they can figure it out, I can figure it out too. That's how I've always approached everything because it's not like basketball where you have to be able to jump from the free throw line and dunk it, right? It's just about being able to articulate words a certain type of way to people, which anyone can learn that.
Yeah,
So I think I always thought that if you guys could figure it out, I could figure it out too.
I like that. Now, do you think not being a salesperson naturally helped you?
Yeah, I think it's helped now that I understand how to approach and structure appointments well because clients know I'm not trying to sell them because I don't have the salesperson gene in me. So I think they really know I'm just trying to help them and I'm not being salesy at all. So I think that has been really helpful. Just I treat it like
That's
order
what I
taking.
say. Like
Yeah.
I was never good at sales or even like saying the right things, but my intentions were good, and I was just trying to help them.
hmm
You know?
That's what I always tell people when I get there is like, hey, I don't have any presentation for you. I'm just here to help you. And if at any time you're uncomfortable or don't like me for whatever reason, I absolutely want you to tell me and I'm happy to leave if you don't want me to be here anymore. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay. He's just here just trying to help us out.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So so someone watching this right now,
hmm
they could have no sales experience. They could get their insurance license, which cost how much money?
$100.
$100.
Yeah.
And you can get leads, call people who are interested in the idea of getting insurance. And how much could somebody make if they helped 5 families a month?
So the average premium now is $1,200 AP, right? So they could make at least $5,000.
Dude, isn't that insane?
It's
So
ridiculous.
like we have a lot of part-time agent or full-time agents that do really, really well, right?
hmm
But dude, I see more people coming in part-time in the future and going, what could an extra 5 or 6 grand a month, even though I have a full-time job that I love, what could that do for my family?
Right.
Or what could we do with that money? But it's just insane. Like the opportunity is out of control. And literally so basically what happened is you just had to learn stuff. That's
hmm
it. So it was hard at first. Do you think you learned what people were going to say, or you kind of got an idea of their body language because you went on enough appointments and you can kind of prevent things or push or pull or whatever? You just got better at helping customers?
Yeah. So what I started doing after probably month 3, I was like, I really want to get this to the next level and go from 20 to write like 40, 50 grand a month, right? Because I went from writing not much at the end of 2017 to then I wrote $400,000 in 2018. And that was my goal. And I was like, I got to figure out how to make this happen. And what I started doing was calling people that knew what they were doing that were writing that much and going, hey, I'd call you, be like, hey, Andrew, this is what just happened in this appointment. This is what I said. This is what they said. What did I do wrong? And I didn't try to be like it was the client's fault, it was the lead's fault, anything like that, because I understood that
You never said that person was an idiot.
I did early on.
That's
but then,
what I did.
Yeah.
And then I
wanted to
finally
change,
said,
though.
maybe I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I understand. Then I started thinking, and I'm like, well, if Matt Smith was in that house, he would have sold that one, right? Because he sold everybody. So I started
That's what I always did. Like Paul McLean would have sold
that, right?
Yeah. So I'd call him after and go, dude, did I tell you about Justice Jackson?
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna tell you after you finish talking.
Okay.
Make sure I tell you.
All right. But what's reassuring about that is if you start going, it's my fault, and same with if you're building a team, right? But if you're like, I'm doing something wrong, it's something I'm doing wrong, and it's not the lead, the agents, anything like that. The good news is you can fix it, right? And then once I understood I could fix it, I felt a lot better about being able to have like no limit on this opportunity. I'm like, I messed that appointment up, call someone, hey, this is what I did. And then I didn't go like, oh, I did that. I'd be like, no, I didn't do that. I'm going to do that next time though.
Yeah.
And I just decided to take my ego out of it because I wasn't where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I think Mike Hillman always said like big ego or big business, or someone, Mike always said it, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I don't need to have a big ego at all. I'm good. I just want to get better at this so I can help families like I need to.
That's cool. So I used to think it was always the customer's fault, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd go. One time I went on this appointment. This guy's name was Justice Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
and he answers the door. He's like 6'6" and mean as ever, dude. And right away, I'm just like, this isn't gonna go good. So I go in, and the guy's just like, I'm not buying nothing right from the beginning. Totally mean, dude. I thought he was being mean, and I show him some numbers, and he like shoves me out of the house real quick. Like I'm not interested. So I sent a picture of the lead to Paul McLean, and I said, this guy, if you can sell a policy to this guy, I consider you the best salesperson on the planet, right?
Yep.
And then I forgot about it. And then like 2 days later, Paul sends me a picture of his voided check. And I go, dude, what did you do? And he told me, he goes, well, I was smiling when he answered the door. And I was like, thinking back, I'm like, I wasn't smiling.
Right.
And then he was like, and then when I got in, I said, dude, did you play in the NFL? Like, how tall are you, dude? And then he said that the guy's like, no, man, I used to play basketball. He's like, man, I'm not going to make you mad. I don't want you to pick me up and just throw me out of the house. Right. And I'm like, dude, he sold that policy in the first few seconds of being at the house. Mm-hmm. And he said that the guy opened up and goes, let me show you everything I have, which he didn't do for me. Mm-hmm. And Paul was able to find something that he needed and help him.
Yeah.
Hilarious, dude.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. So, all right. So now you're doing $400,000 a year, or by yourself. You're doing how much exactly?
My first year I did 408,000.
Your very first year.
2018. So I was like 3 months in, and then 2 months in, then I did 408,000. And then last year I did 560 something. And then this year I'm at like 670 so far, personal production.
Issued.
Yep.
What does that look like in income?
A lot more than I thought. A lot more than honestly than I thought I should be making at this age, right? At 25 years old. There's nowhere else you can make that type of money, I don't think, that's legal. So.
And did you buy a house in Colorado?
No, just because my wife is she's in medical school, so we move every couple of years. So I didn't want to get tied to somewhere out there. But we're gonna get one out there in April because we'll know where she'll be for the next few years.
And you bought a house in Vegas to live in spring and fall when the weather's nice.
Correct. Yep.
And then you're gonna go back to Colorado in the summer.
Yeah.
How's the weather there in the summer?
It's beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
And then you just gotta find somewhere in the winter.
Right.
Palm Springs.
Yep. There we go.
Palm
just
Springs,
bounce around.
Yeah. All right. So, was there a point where it felt like you figured it out?
Yeah, on the sales side for sure. When it clicked for me is when I truly committed to running 30 appointments every week, and I did that for probably 3 or 4 months in a row that year. And then, like, you would think, okay, like, you run 30. Like, worst case scenario, you run 30. Out of that, 10 people aren't there. You sit 20, and you write 10 apps, right? And out of 10 apps, the average premium's $100 a month. So you write $12,000 a week. And you think, okay, if I run 30 appointments a week, $12,000 a week, that's like 500 some thousand issue paid a year, right? And that's what I did the other year. But then what you don't account for is that you take all the emotion out because you don't care if people are there or not there. None of it matters if you have that much activity. Like the bad days really aren't that bad because you have really good days that follow them up. But what you don't account for is like how much exponentially better you get and more confident you get. So then like the 12K weeks become like where you write a 20K week here and there. And then once I understood that if you have high activity, just good things happen, that's when it clicked for me. As I'm like, oh, okay, if I just have the same activity, none of it matters. None of the bad stuff matters. It doesn't matter if you have a chargeback. It doesn't matter if 10 people aren't there in a row, because the law of large numbers plays out and you'll make a ton of money if you just have good activity and good attitude every week.
Yeah.
That's when it clicked for me. It's probably
Jack,
about 3
you
months.
said like there was a point where he said the monkey was off his back.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was all this stress trying to figure it out. And then all of a sudden the monkey was off his back.
Right.
Now you running 30 appointments. Does that mean, what if you didn't hit 30 appointments? What would you do?
So I always set a weekly goal. And then at the beginning of the month, I always take my calendar out 3 months, write in all the stuff like the sales conferences we have to go to or that sort of stuff in there. Trips I have planned in. And then so say this week I only ran 20 appointments because I was here, then next week I have to run 40 to make up for it. I don't just go, oh, we'll get them next time, because I write down my goals and I plan out my months to where I run 120 appointments every month.
How much has that helped you going to the sales conferences?
An insane amount.
Did you ever not want to go?
All the time, yeah. There's times where you're like, that's a flight. I don't really want to do it. I have to wake up at 3 tomorrow morning and go there. But it helps you so much to get around. And I've always gone to a lot of them because once I understood that I could just take something that you do and implement it and it helps me make money or help more people, I just wanted to get around that as much as possible. And then you get around all the energy. And then now it's cool because I remember always being in the back of the room.
Success is contagious.
It's contagious. And then it's cool to be able to really give back and help other agents now. It's such a good feeling to be able to help someone else learn something that you learn from someone else, you know?
Yeah.
Because I didn't invent any of the stuff we talked about today. It was just stuff I've taken from all the top people at our company.
Yeah. So if someone says, I don't feel like going to this training, what would you say to them to make them realize like all these little things add up?
Yeah, it's crazy because like someone like you having access, like you made a lot of money in this industry and helped a ton of agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like fair to say you could charge a lot of money if you wanted to speak somewhere. You wouldn't because you're a good guy, but you could, right?
Probably.
It's like we get to go there. It's like that'd be like saying like I don't want to learn how to make an extra $100,000 a year, because you could learn one small thing for free.
Family First Life, all conferences, trainings, everything free, never
Everything's
charge.
free. Yeah.
Well, it's free for agents,
right?
But the company's spending a lot of money setting these up, like
Yep.
all 7 conferences.
Yeah, that'd be like saying I don't want to pick up a bag of money that has $100,000.
Now it's normal to not want to go. Like,
Right.
dude, tomorrow I'm getting on a flight at 5 a.m. flight. I'm going to one city, and then after it's over, I'm flying to another city, and the next day I'm flying to another city, and it's like, dude, I don't want to leave, but like having success is oftentimes doing things you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go and say, of course you don't want to run 30 appointments a week,
right?
But do you want to make $10,000 every week? So, one's got to give,
Right.
Have you ever slacked off on your schedule, and how'd you feel if you did? Like, have you ever cut corners, said I'm going to do 10 appointments instead of 30, or the leads didn't come in that I needed this week and made an excuse? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, I have. So early on in 2018, I would write like 30 appointments, or I'd go like travel for a week and write like 50 and then take like a week or so off. And while I was making a lot of money, I was still a big emotional roller coaster, right? Like I'd have like a $60,000 week and then like 10,000. And with the way our business works, like that's kind of dangerous to do to yourself, right? And I'd always be really emotional because I'd be like on fire, like, yes, this is the best
Dude, it's
ever.
like working out one week and then having like 7 cheat days in a row and having pizza and donuts and all this stuff.
Right, absolutely. And then I always heard people talk about making your schedule like and sticking to it, right? And I was like, that makes sense for, someone that has 5 kids and a wife and like all this stuff going on. But it's just me. My wife's in medical school, so I can do whatever I want. So when I stopped doing that, so yeah, to answer your question, yes, it did feel like crap. And then I hated the feeling of being disorganized really and like all over the place. So then I started writing out my goals. And I actually, on my phone, it pops up at 5 every morning with what my goals are. So it's like the first thing I see in the morning is like what my main goals are. And then I write out my schedule for 2 months. So I know exactly what I'm doing for the next 2 months. I know what days I'm supposed to be off, which makes those days feel really good because you're like, I'm not supposed to be I answer the phone still, but I'm not supposed to be in the field or dialing or doing hiring stuff specifically on any of those days, right? And you feel okay about taking it off. And the days I'm working, I don't feel bad about not hanging out with my wife, right? Because we make the schedule out together. So once I started doing that, I even put on my calendar, like I'll write on there, like I need 8 appointments on Tuesday and 8 on Wednesday. On the top, when I'm writing out my months, I write how many appointments I want each day. So I go through and fill them, and I'm like, oh, I had to get 8 that day because when I was figuring out my calendar, I had to get 8 to make my month work. So like I even get really detailed like that and know how many appointments I'm gonna run each day and when I'm dialing and all that stuff's mapped out, and that holds me accountable now because I'm weird. When I write something down, I like have to do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
So I put like I wanted to get the 145 contract right away. Well, it was 140 then. Now it's 145
Right.
when I started, and I put the promotion guidelines. I stapled them on next to my bed.
Mm-hmm.
So every day I'd wake up, I'd see these promotional guidelines, and it would remind me that my team had to do 350 a month in order to get promoted to that contract level.
Right.
And then like there'd be a lot of days where I'd go, oh man, I got my butt kicked. I don't want to go back out, whatever. And I would look at that, or it would remind me like, just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thought most people stop when it gets tough. So I started to think of if something's getting tough to keep going.
Like a test or something.
Like a test.
That's
It's
cool.
just a test. Yeah. When most people when you want to quit, most people would. So it's just a test for me to call more people or go see more people, you know?
Absolutely. That's one thing I start, especially on the growth side. Like whenever I felt like things were calming down, it scares me a little. I used to not want to push myself, but it kind of scares me when things seem like they're getting easy, and I always try to figure out ways to make it more chaotic now.
But
try
isn't
to
it
push
crazy
yourself.
how easy it got?
Yeah. Like now,
and you're
with
only
sales side's no big deal.
you're in your third year.
Mm-hmm.
So you did 4-something and 410 and 560.
Mm-hmm. And then this year I'll probably finish right around 800, I think.
You're going to do 800
I was at 673 through November.
on your own pen.
My own pen.
Dude, how did you do that?
35 appointments every week. 35 appointments every week.
800,000?
It might end up being a little less because I've been really focusing on growing more. But that was what Ed Terrell texted me and said I was on pace to do at one point.
800,000.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. How much of that that's life premium?
All life premium.
All life premium.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's insane.
And it's like I really don't do anything special. Like
Now, how are you getting enough leads?
so, I've traveled a little bit, and then I've always been crazy aggressive with leads. Right, whenever a new opportunity arises, like I watched how when Facebook leads came out, you guys took it and ran with it, and I saw that with the instant internet life leads. I didn't want to miss out. Like I think I even told you, I'm like, hey, we want as many as we can get in Colorado. I'll buy them all if we don't buy them. You know, like let's make sure let's get a lot of leads in Colorado. But I've always been really aggressive. So like even when I was in South Carolina still, and I knew I was moving back to Colorado, like when we were just doing only mailers, I talked to Sasha and I was like, I want to lock out all the counties out there, so no one else does. And she was like, when are you moving? I was like, May. And she's like, well, it's December. I'm like, I know. I just want to make sure I have them off when I move out there. So I've always just, whenever leads popped up, I've always just kind of grabbed them all, and it's been cool now.
How did you start to think like that, though?
I don't know. I started seeing it on my own pen, and I was like, this is crazy that you can make money just from getting. You can spend 25% and make 10,000.
Let's compare. You know? Let's compare this to your dad.
Yeah.
So like your dad had to go to school for how long?
For 4 years undergraduate, and my wife's going through it right now. It's crazy, and they spend $200,000 in debt too. But like 4 years undergraduate, they do 2 years of school, then they do 2 years of rotations, and then they do about another 4 years of residency, depending on what they do.
So is that 12 years?
Yeah.
So you gotta invest 12 years of your time
and
right?
$200,000
and $200,000.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I'm definitely appreciative for all the doctors out there.
Yeah, me too.
But he's also a businessman.
Right.
And so for him to turn a profit, he had to first do all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got to open up his own spot, right? How much does that cost?
A lot, I'm sure. I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure it's a lot of money.
So you put in so much before you see a profit, right?
Correct.
And you're saying you just buy leads and you see the profit that week, and Americo or Prosperity or AmAm deposits the money straight into your account.
Mm-hmm. And then what I also saw was getting
Doesn't that
leads
seem way easier?
It's so simple, right? But it's scary, I guess, to buy a bunch of leads up front that you don't know for sure you're
Is
getting
it
a return
scarier
on.
than going to school for 12 years,
Nope,
spending
not to me.
$200,000 and then another $500,000 to start your business?
So I think that was one thing that always kept me going because I knew that was the alternative. And it's like I did fine in school, but I hated it. I really did. I did not enjoy it. Like I could get by, but I knew that was the alternative for me. If I wanted to make money was to go back to a lot of school, and I didn't want to do that. It scared me kind of. It sounds weird, right? But it did scare me to think I had to go back to school again.
So how many customers do you think you've helped to write 800K this year?
Probably 600, maybe more, maybe
600
650.
people. How many people do you think have told you no?
It's another 600 probably.
So 50-50?
Yeah.
When someone tells you no, did you get mad?
No, not once I understood that if I ran 30 appointments a week, that there'd be a lot of people that told me yes and it'd be all good.
Damn. That's impressive. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about instant internet leads, which I think is a huge perk with Family First Life. $11, fresh, exclusive leads generated on the internet. They fill out like 17 questions and answer all of them. Can you talk about your experience, good and bad experience with those?
Yeah, I think the only the bad experience part is the phone, but I think the reason for that is people expect an $11 lead to book the same as a. I mean, if you spend $70 or $60 on a or even $50 on a mortgage lead, like you can't possibly, or at least I never expected it to be the exact same, right? Mm-hmm. So I looked at it, and what I've noticed based on me and my agents running them is you can expect to set 25%, like worst case scenario if you really dial. Like really dialing means like if Andrew fills out a lead, I call you, 3 times in the morning, and then 3 times again, and then another 3 times in the afternoon, and then 3 times at 7:00. I dial you 12 times in a day, right?
And text maybe.
And text you, yeah.
And then what if you door knock?
And door knock, yep, absolutely.
So probably 30-40% if you do.
If you do all that, you can get it 40, maybe even 50%. But if you just call in really hard, anyone could book 25%, right? So
and you've booked a lot of them.
A lot of them.
And how many have you sold?
A lot. And
how much have you sold? Do you think? Because I
remember one week I wrote $9,000. I bought I think 40 of them and wrote $9,000 off of it.
Just those.
Just those. That's it. And the craziest thing that I've seen from these is that with Facebook and final expense leads, the average premium is probably $50 a month, maybe, right? Mm-hmm. With these ones, I know the company-wide average went up to over 100.
It's like 180.
It's like 180, right?
Yeah, they're high.
The craziest thing, I met with this couple. It was 2 weekends ago. I had like 7 appointments. I wanted a few more, right? So I bought some leads on Saturday morning, and I was calling, sitting in the parking lot before my appointments. I started calling like 8:00 to book a few more appointments. I talked to this dude. He was like, "Oh yeah, we're in the area. We have another house 2 hours away in Colorado, but we come down here, on the weekends for whatever." So I was like, "Well, I can come out there today." He's like, "Today's the only day that'll work." I get out there. His wife's a doctor, and he's the mayor of their little town. They make like $20,000 a month between the two of them. And I showed them, a policy. I think it was like almost $600 total. And they didn't even blink at it, right? They were like, "Yeah, that's fine with our budget." The reason I bring that up is with Facebook lead, you're definitely not running into that. And with the mortgage lead, you're 99% of the time not running anything like that, right? But with these guys, like they were like, "No, we make plenty of money. That's no big deal." And so I think it opens up the company to not just our niche market, like the whole life insurance world in general, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Which we have plenty of products to help everybody.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, they both had fully underwritten $1 million terms, and I showed them the cash back
and they loved it.
They were like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen."
Back?
So you tell me, I get sick, I get money. If he dies, I get money, and if not, we get our money back. Why do we not have that already? I'm like, I don't know. Do you want to do it now? Give me.
I'm ready to buy another one right now.
Right.
All right. So, how do you order those? How do you get them?
Yeah. So you go on the CRM, look at the heat map. You can filter on there out. Like you can click on it and just filter only for instant internet life leads and find the areas where there's a lot of leads at. They'll be green or red in some areas. Like if you look at like Baltimore, North South Carolina, those type areas, there's a lot of leads there, right? So you go in there and you buy as many as you can is the way to buy them, right? And this is the way I looked at it. I was talking to someone else the other day. If you buy 100, $1,100, right? With the average premium being what it is, you only have to sell one to break even. It's like anyone could sell one of those to break even, right? Anybody.
Yeah. Now, what do you say if someone says, now, what percentage do you not get a hold of them because maybe it was the daughter or the son or they put a bogus number in?
30%, 20%.
So that, you just accepted that.
Yeah, I just was like this.
That's built into the whole program.
That's why they're so cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. It accounts
now they are $25 leads.
Yeah.
So instead of wasting all the time getting credit and doing all these things, FFL goes, "Hey, let's get it as low as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and we can save all that time. And then it's also much cheaper if you look at it overall at $11. Dude, I met with two big lead companies that have not even close to as good of a lead actually, and they're $20 a piece.
Yep.
What's your comparison to Facebook leads?
So Facebook are what, $20-$25 a lead now? 20 maybe if you were in an area
30.
with 30. Yeah.
Some
Depends on the
cases.
lead vendor, right? But what I found is maybe with Facebook you might book a slightly higher percent, like maybe 5% higher.
Premium lower.
Premium's so much lower, right? And they're not as readily available as the instant internet leads are.
Yeah.
Like you could put in, like in Denver, for instance, you could put in an order today, and your order might not be filled for 2 weeks because we have a lot of people that get them out there.
So I love all leads. So I'm
I
not
love 'em
saying
all.
don't use Facebook. As FFL's going to $1 billion company, and a lot of us agents or you maybe if you're watching, you're going to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to need every lead possible and help every family possible. But the internet life leads in the CRM are an insanely good ROI and a great way to help a lot of people. And dude, we've had record week after record week for 6 weeks in a row, and we've been using the leads for 6 weeks.
Right. And you could.
Is that a coincidence?
It can't be.
It can't be.
It's the only thing that's different, right? Is you started using those.
It's the only
leads.
thing that's different.
Yeah. And you can, so like you book 25%, right? So we did training earlier. It's like if you get 80 instant internet leads, you set 25, right? You get 15 Facebook leads, set 5 of those. And then you get 10 mortgage leads and set 5 of those, right? But then you have 30 leads.
20 appointments versus, you're saying use all of them.
Use all of them, yeah. Yeah, get 80 instant leads, get 15 Facebook leads, and get
now the other
10 direct leads.
In the CRM that a lot of people don't pay attention to are the new internet life leads.
Mm-hmm.
So those are brand new leads. They're just not instant. It takes 24 to 48 hours for them to populate into the system.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, those are gold too.
Yep. And when they run discounts, you can have discounts on those ones, right?
You can have discounts on them, yeah.
Yep.
So it's awesome. All right, so let's say you get a bunch of leads, instant internet leads. You're okay, 20 to 30% of them. Let's say you've accepted that you're not going to sell them.
Mm-hmm.
They put in bad info, something happened. Out of the other ones, what percentage of the people do you think you're going to sell?
Of the ones I book appointments with, or?
Just let's say if you get 100 leads, 30 of them bad right out of the gate, so you got 70 left.
70 left. I think out of that, I'll set 25 minimum, like worst case scenario, and I feel really confident I'll close half the amount of apps from there.
So 12 and a half apps
Yep.
for how much premium?
For 12, 15 grand, somewhere in there.
12 to
Like
15
low,
grand.
and then I always like to do stuff on the low end, right? Like
Yeah.
25 would be low end, and 12 grand from 12 apps would be on the low end. But I think that everyone that dials the phone like hard can do that exact same thing.
Do you think getting leads and doing travel trips, I saw Missouri had 1,500 leads in just one county.
Crazy.
Do you think that's a good way to go run travel trips and go, you know what, let me get 200 of these?
Yeah. I always did travel trips until recently, where I've given away all the leads in the areas that I have people at, and they're out there running their own organizations now. But I love going and traveling. I learned a lot about how to really do this business at a high level, because it was like I played college sports, right? So it was like getting off of the plane for like a game, like a road game, and then I had like 2 or 3 days in a row where all I had to do was focus only on this. And when you can just throw your whole, make yourself uncomfortable and throw your whole, next 3 days into focusing just on work, it's crazy how much better you'll get by doing that a few times.
Focused.
Just so focused, laser focused. There's no one to go home to. You work all day, you go back to the hotel, go to sleep, wake up, work out early, and work all day again.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah. And then when you get home, you get to
Feel
spend
so
time.
good,
You
too.
feel so great, right? And then you get to spend time with your family. And a long time ago, somebody had said that they were very successful in the insurance industry.
Mm-hmm.
They said that their goal was to spend 100% of their effort working when they're supposed to be working. That way they can be there 100% with their family when they're supposed to be with their family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really dangerous road to get stuck in the middle, because if you don't do what you're supposed to do working, when you're with your family, you're thinking about work.
Yeah.
And you're not there with them. And then when you're working, you're like, man, I've been neglecting my family. So you're thinking about your family or what you should be doing. And so you're neglecting your work. And it's like this dangerous place to be. So for me, doing these travel trips always allowed me to focus and be 100% on one thing. Dude, this is kind of crazy, but how much do you think people, they think they're working, but they're on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook?
A lot. I know, because I used to do that all the time.
I used to do it too. And how much of their work is being diluted with those things, but they think they're working?
A lot. And it can mess you up too. That's why
TikTok, you could go.
Oh, you could be in a rabbit
hole, right? That thing sucks you in, man.
Yeah.
I don't even have TikTok. My friend sent me a video to watch, so I watched it, and then I got stuck on TikTok because videos kept coming up. Drew, you think agents could be more productive if they turned off that stuff? 100%, huh?
I used to set a timer on my phone when I was dialing. And then if I ever got off track, I'd look at it and be like, oh my gosh, it's been an hour and I haven't done anything. That really helped me a lot when I was dialing. I'd always, or on my computer or something, I'd set a timer and go. And then if you get sidetracked, you'd be like, I made 3 dials in the last 2 hours. That's really bad. That helped hold myself accountable.
Yeah, that's huge though. So my friend goes, hey, you need to put he goes, do you have any guns? I go, yeah, a couple, but I don't really know how to use them. So I don't mess with them that much. But he goes, where are they? I go, in the safe. He goes, go take your phone and put it in the safe and call from like a house phone or something so you can't be on the internet like scrolling through anything. And he goes, because you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Every time you get off track when you're supposed to be dialing. How nice is it to dial and be done super fast?
That's my favorite thing. So what we always try to do in my office is Easton and I get there at 7, and we try to start dialing by 7:30, and we try to see if we can be done by 9. Now we're not always done by 9, but we're like, how sick is it?
Your whole week?
For we try to get so if it's Monday, we try to get Tuesday and Wednesday booked by 9. So like at least 15, 20 appointments. And sometimes sometimes you have a good dial day and it can happen, right? But we're like, worst case scenario, you set 10 appointments by 9 o'clock when everyone else is just starting to dial. I already have 10 appointments booked. So that's like, we try to get in there and start at 7:30 and see how many we can have by the time everyone else starts dialing. Just like what game we play between, and sometimes he is really very good on the phone. Sometimes he'll have 20 appointments by 9 o'clock or whatever and be all done. And then can spend the rest of the day doing recruiting or whatever he needs to do.
That's awesome, dude.
Yep.
All right, so building a team. What type of opportunity do you see there?
It's insane.
And you're doing $700 a month as a team, so roughly $8.5 million of issue paid premium as a team. That's what you're doing,
right? And I started so this side of the opportunity is crazy, is because I'm not the best. Like, I'm not someone that's gonna get you motivated or pumped up or anything like that, really, right? I can teach people how to sell insurance very simply, like I do. And I started hiring April of 2019. So I really haven't been at it that long, and I've messed it up a lot. And we're still growing, right? Just because I found some other people and plugged them into this, and they've done a great job at kind of running with the opportunity.
What does it look like building an agency? Like, what does that entail?
It entails being good at directing people to the right materials so that they can learn how to sell, and it entails not babying people.
I like to say I just push people into the fire.
Yeah, just push people to what they have to do and being very direct with people and always answering your phone.
Yeah, easy. And an insane amount of passive income. I always say, like, I like real estate. It's funny, this guy on TikTok which the video this guy sent me, it was this kid interviewing people in nice cars and going, how much money do you make? And it was like the sickest cars ever, right? And you go up to the person and he's like, how much money, what do you do for work? That's what he said. And then the guy's like, the guy's like, I sell drugs. And he's probably telling the truth.
Yeah.
And the second one, the lady was like, I got married. And it was like this super sick car. And then the third one, this guy's like, I'm a lawyer. And then most of them, though, were real estate. And so I've always loved real estate. And I go, dude, what a great way to make a lot of money, make passive income, do all these cool things. And when I saw insurance and I started to learn, with Family First Life, I started to learn about the bonus and the overrides. dude, you can make what, like, with 3 people, what 500,000 of paid off real estate, actually $1 million of paid off real estate, you can make the same in overrides with 3 agents.
And that's not even counting the bonus. What would your bonus cumulatively have been this year, do you think?
A
Or
lot.
what will it be this year?
A lot.
A lot?
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's more money than I ever thought.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. But it's been dude, it's been fun, man.
Yeah.
And what's weird is I never thought there was this point where I go, because last year we were doing 1.5 million a month paid as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And then now we're going to do 8 million this month as a team. And I never thought it could get that big, but I hit this point where I realized, dude, this thing could get as big. I mean, we're tiny. If you think about how big the insurance industry is, we're still tiny, and we're doing the right thing, and we're helping people, and we're helping people make money. Like, look at you, dude. You started when you were 22.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're 25. You're going to do 800 grand on your own PIN. You're going to do 8 million as an agency for the year. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
Yeah.
And dude, it's going to keep just getting bigger because more people are finding out about Family First Life and the truth, not the stuff that they've been told to try to keep people from coming here, the truth about it, and more people are coming here.
Yep.
Well, anyways, dude, thank you for sharing today. Thank you for sharing. I'm thinking from talking to you, dude, I don't see how you don't have an integrity deal in the next few years,
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.